Welcome to Centered Sunday with the Resilient Me. Now, today is June 30th. It's the last day of our Achieve Your Goals, Unlock Your Mind challenge. And I challenged everyone this month to read the book. It was only 95 pages, entitled Wake Up and Live by Dorothea Brand. She was dropping some serious bombs on us. I mean, knowledge for days. One paragraph could be packed with so much knowledge you'd want to eat on it for a couple of days. So I encourage everyone. It's only 95 pages. It was 99 cents on Kindle. If you didn't get a chance to get the book, please get the book. Read it once, read it a second time, and actually take notes because there's so much to unpack and learn. But today I want to dive into a topic that I believe is chapter 8 or 9, where she talks about the task of the imagination and ways in which we can not only use it in our childhood, but actually find it as imperative to use during our adulthood. So we're going to talk about how your imagination is actually required for you to receive constructive criticism. Now, I know that sounds stupid, right? I've never heard anything like that before, and I know you're interested, otherwise you wouldn't be watching this video to hear what I have to say. So this is pulled directly from one of those two chapters, 8 or 9, I can't remember. But the first thing that she wants to acknowledge in that particular chapter is that immature people have the first instinct to have outrageous proprietorship when their work, their performance, or their deliverable is actually being challenged. And that could be from an employer, it could be from a friend, it could be from a coworker or a family member. And what do I mean by that? In this particular instance, I have been guilty of it, and hopefully once I explain it to you, you'll be able to see yourself in this as well. So, the creation and the creator become one in this particular instance. And we're no longer able to separate ourselves from what we made. So whenever we receive constructive criticism, or we receive attacks, or we receive something that's opposite or contrary to what we believe or think about our product, our service, or our presentation, we immediately associate the attack on our work product as an attack on me, and more specifically, an attack on my identity, on who Sharice is and what she represents. Now, this is a very immature way of thinking, and this is something that we have to come out of. Now, we've all heard stories and books and listened to people talk about constructive criticism and how it's good for you. But a lot of people don't teach you how to process that information and how to get from A to Z and do it well. An additional problem that comes with making the creator and the creation one is that we have a tendency to overestimate our pride in the work and an ability to underestimate our humility. We never know where we actually stand in our contribution to the work itself. And so when we receive corrections, or even sometimes for those of us that may receive compliments, we seem bewildered or out of place, or we don't understand why you're saying this, okay? I had a friend, I wrote my first ebook for the Resilient Me, and she went through my ebook, very cutthroat, and she's not even like an editor or anything. She went through it very cutthroat, and we got into a conversation about the use of the Oxford comma. And I could have very well said to her, well, the Oxford comma is optional and it's not required, so I didn't have to use it. Or I could have taken it from the perspective that she wants me to elevate my writing. It really wasn't a big deal, so just go ahead and add it in when you're using a series of 3 items, have 3 commas. But I could have taken offense to that and not understood and realized that she really just wanted to do her best estimate of my work so that I could actually be better when I present it to you all, to the tribe. Now, I also want to add on to that, when you have an intense occupation of your own expectations of how you want that project to turn out or how you imagine that it's going to be received, and you don't get that, you automatically block yourself off from being able to receive any level of criticism. Now, we've heard this many times in communication. In order for a message to be received, the giver and the receiver have to be the same in order for the message to come across clearly. So, you want to make sure that what you're saying is being portrayed in a way that the receiver can actually interpret that information. Otherwise, whenever we hear good advice or we ever hear criticism of our work, we can't really determine what's wrong or what's right. It's just kind of like, you thought I did a good job? Like, I didn't think it was that good. Or, I thought it was a really good job. What do you mean there's something wrong with it, right? And immediately our defense comes up, our walls come up, our ego comes in, because ego is used to protect us, especially from childhood. Being a toddler comes in to protect us and prevent us from feeling any harm or pain or shame or guilt for our work product or our performance. Now, this is where, I know you've been waiting for the juicy part, this is where the imagination comes in, right here at this point, which I would have never thought of using until I read this book. So, she says in the book, you have to learn how to separate yourself from the work and the person who created it. Separate the creation from the creator. Separate the book from the author, right? Separate the song from the musician. How we can go on and on and on, but you guys get my point there. You have to first separate yourself from that. You have to imagine yourself separate from your work so that your work can stand independently. And there's an analysis that you have to do, which is like a 360 analysis. So the first thing you want to do is be aware of yourself, right? The second thing you want to do is be aware of the work that you want to do. And then the third thing you want to be knowledgeable of is your audience, which goes back to my previous statement of communication, where the giver and the receiver have to be the same. So when you're aware of your capabilities, your strengths, your creativity, your weaknesses even, and you know the outcome or the goal that you want to create with your product or your deliverable to your company, and then you also think of the audience that's going to be receiving this message, that's going to be receiving this work, that's going to receive whatever it is that you've created for them. Now we have like a 360 view, right? We have me, we have the work, and then we have the audience. So I can create something that is going to be enjoyable for you. And because I've thought about you and I have you in mind, now the giver and the receiver are on the same level and my product can be presented to you. Now, once it is actually presented and you start to receive construction and constructive criticism and or compliments or praise, and you start to shrink or be like, oh, I just threw that together. It just wasn't that much, or it was so easy. Like, I don't really have to think about it. I've heard people do that before. Separate yourself from that. Nobody's talking about you, okay? It's not about you. It's about the work. So independently separate yourself from that. Imagine that you are not your work, right? Those are actually separate things. And then you can be able to take a step back, be able to clearly judge your perception, your expectations of it. And if you were not connected to it, how would you actually look at that piece of work that you've completed? Then you would actually have the courage to not be undermined. If someone comes along to give you conflicting advice or confusing advice, you'd know right away, I've done a full analysis of how this should be presented, and no, that is not actually a need that needs to be included in this particular project. And you'll be able to make a just estimate of your work. So you know whether or not you performed extremely well and phenomenal, so that when it goes up, you're like, and they actually say, oh my God, this is amazing. You're like, yeah, I know. I know it's amazing. I did a full analysis to make sure that you would like it and be able to receive it and use it well. So that is all I have for you all this week. Take the time to practice that. Use your imagination. I know at work we have reports that we have to write, and they're at least 30 pages long. And sometimes I'll pour my heart out, into this project, and I'll get it back and be like, Sharice, remember that we're not supposed to use jargon. Make sure you use plain language. And when you're so immersed in the world and the culture in which the project you've been working on, sometimes you forget your audience. You forget that these people haven't been working this project with you for the last 6 months. months or year or however long, they don't understand what you're trying to say. So you have to make sure that you look at both sides of the table, create the product, then be able to use your imagination, take a step back, and let people chime in on how it can be made better. Or be able to actually see any faults that may be in the project and be open to actually elevating it and making it better. So I hope you all enjoyed the challenge this month. If you have not had an opportunity to join our private Facebook community, I would love to see you there. We need more sisters in there with us. All right, next month I have an amazing challenge. If you guys are on my Instagram, I also posted it on Facebook. I really feel like there's a shift of movement where we need to clear space and we need to declutter and to organize. So next month, our challenge is going to be all about clearing space. So I will see you on Monday with an update on our challenge for the month of July. All right, I will see you guys probably, I'll be back during the week. I'm probably going to drop a video or two. I want to hear from you. Oh, yes. I have to share this with you guys. I won't say her name because she didn't release it to say for me to allow me to tell you guys. But even in this challenge that we did for the month of June, which was Achieve Your Goals, Unlock Your Mind, one of the sisters from our tribe reached out to me and she emailed me and said, I've been trying to work on my book for years and I haven't been able to actually accomplish it. But through your challenge, I was actually able to complete my book. Not only did she complete the book and just tell me, she actually took a picture and sent it to me. I was so proud. And I love hearing stories like that. So if this has impacted you in any way or any of the previous months or challenges, please reach out to me. I do respond to emails. Send me a DM. Put a comment on the bottom of this. I love feedback. I love to hear with you. I love to hear from you, and I love to interact with you. All right. I love you guys. Have an amazing week. Peace.